Good evening, Knights fans, and we're joined by assistant coach Diogo. Mate, how do you feel about the game?
I'm actually buzzing that we were able to get that win, especially here at home in front of our home fans. But for the boys, it was a hard one to swallow the other day in the FA Cup. But lucky enough, we were able to turn around straight away, which is really important.
Yeah, look, mate, absolutely massive result for us tonight. Hellas no longer undefeated, kept our good home record going. How do you think everyone in the change room is feeling, mate?
Everyone's buzzing, and so they should be. They should enjoy it. Keeps our season going. But again, it's a very special game for the club. We understand that, but for us, just another game. Tick it over, and we look at Bentley next week.
Debut Dor Jok with a goal tonight, mate. How's he been at training? Because he looked pretty good tonight.
Mate, so happy for him. Honestly, he's been doing a lot of extra training, a lot of hard work. He's played 2 good games in the reserves, scored 5 goals one game, 2 goals the other game, so he deserved the opportunity, and look, he took it, so now it makes it interesting for Bebe to make decisions for next week.
Oh, look, mate, if I'm honest, I'd much rather have the coach having those headaches of who to pick rather than this is who I have to pick. But obviously, massive game coming up against Bentley. How do you think the team's going to go into this week, mate?
Obviously, full of confidence. There are some sore bodies in there, a couple of injuries, which is normal when you've played 120 minutes on Tuesday and again 90 minutes physical game today. But look, when you win games, you recover a bit quicker. Everyone want to get out there and hopefully put together a good performance.
Thanks for your time, Knights fans, and we're joined by Dor Jok, post our 1-0 win at home over South Melbourne. How'd you feel about the game, mate?
Honestly, best feeling, man. Best feeling. I got a call from the gaffer last night. First team didn't train last night, so the people that didn't play on Tuesday had a session last night, so I'm just training. I didn't really know I was going to be in the squad. I got home and he's giving me a call and said you're starting. I said, I was obviously ready because I've been training hard, been working hard, because good first 3 weeks, got dropped under 21s, where I performed really well, scored heaps of goals, so thought I deserved to get a call up, so I was ready for it, and what a better way to do it, man.
Yeah, well, look, mate, a goal on debut.
Yeah.
The home supporters absolutely loved it, mate. Talk us through the goal.
Oh, honestly, because what's happened, I've just seen Doozy on the ball, and I said, honestly, if it hits it, I think the keeper's going to spill it. And it hit it, and he just fell there perfectly for me, so I just hit it. Thought I was offside for a second, but it wasn't. I just didn't know how to react.
Well, mate, thank God you weren't offside. The fans absolutely loved it. Great way to bounce back after Tuesday's unfortunate result.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your time so far at the Knights, mate?
I'm loving it for sure. Obviously, I've had to be patient with my debut, but that was not a problem because I came to a team that was ready getting results. And with that being said, I had to prove that I can play for the team. So I had to stay patient, kept working hard, and I just listened to what the coach told me. So it was good. So loving it.
The fans are absolutely going to love to hear that. What are your sort of ambitions going forward through the season?
I just want to score as many goals as I can, man, for the team, get us as many wins as we can, hopefully get us to the final, which I believe we can. So we've shown a couple of times, a lot of times actually, that we one of the best team in the league, man, and we can do it for sure. Thanks
for your time, mate. Good evening, Knights fans, and welcome back to Beer Garden Banter. Who are we joined by tonight, mate?
Patrick Romeo, guys. PPR Western represent. How we going?
New sponsor for the year, mate. How do you reckon we went tonight?
Mate, on fire. You can't beat it. All night, baby. Melbourne Knights for the win.
Brother, absolute pleasure. Hey, who's your favourite player tonight? I know you probably can't name him, but give us a number.
Number 18. He was a weapon all night. Hey, on fire.
On fire. Good evening, Knights fans. Who have we got joining us now?
This is Anthony Pave. I got Anthony and I don't believe it. My boyfriend.
Hello, everybody. Boys, what do you think of the game tonight?
I don't know. I don't see nothing.
You don't see nothing, you?
Anthony, I see you on the hill, and you're very, very nice boy.
Oh, look, he's an interstate guest. He's also my grandmother. Great bloke. Serious, mate. How do you reckon we're going to go this year?
Well, look, if tonight's going to go by and they can continue this form, after Tuesday's disappointment, then I think, look, anything's possible. As long as they keep up, this kind of play tonight was, unbelievable.
South Melbourne undefeated, not so much now, mate.
No. And we actually beat him with 10 men, so, for 20 minutes, which is a credit to our boys, and, it takes away the pain of Tuesday night, I think.
Thanks for your time, mate. That's who we're joined by here, mate.
Stepan Gudasic.
Stepan, what did you think of the game tonight, mate?
Nah, from a North fan's perspective, beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Yeah.
Who's your best on ground tonight, mate?
You know what? I really like the way McGarry played today. It was fucking class, man.
Yeah,
Bloody class,
definitely, mate. How do you reckon we're going to go for the rest of the year, mate? Give us your tips.
Well, look, last week was a good result, I want to say.
Yeah.
Right, I felt like the boys played well. All right, obviously midweek it was a little bit disappointing. All right, but now we've bounced back. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, and that's it. So
Finals?
oh, hopefully, you know what? From a North's perspective, you want your sister club to do well, no?
100%, mate. 100%.
That's it.
Look, we're getting there. I'd just like you to be a bit more confident, mate.
Yeah.
Like, we've been good so far. I want to say, when I say, hey, we're going to make finals, the only answer is yes. I'm going to ask you again, hey, we're making finals this year?
100%.
Bang, mate. We love to hear it.
man.
Thanks for your time, mate. Good evening, Knights fans. Who we're joined by here?
Simon.
Simon, what do you reckon of the game tonight, Simon?
Oh, I thought it was brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Best on ground for tonight?
Oh, I've got to give it to Dor, mate. I've got to give it to Dor.
It's pretty hard not to, mate. Debut goal. Best player for the season so far for you, mate?
Oh, tough question, mate. I've got to say Brycey, mate.
Brycey. Who's your least favourite committee member?
Least favourite committee member. Jesus, there's so many to choose from. Got to be Pave, mate.
Yeah. Mate, you need to stop that van, it looks bad.
Yeah, I won't name the van and what it's affectionately known as, but he definitely time for a bit of an upgrade, mate.
Give it up, Paul.
Thank you, Tony. Before I start, it's probably one of the most important speeches I've made at this club for a long time. Chris Nikkou is the first head of Soccer Australia has been in the club in about 25 years. It's a big deal for us. So let me begin. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests to tonight's President's Dinner. It's a pleasure to see club and community members, sponsors and partners, along with representatives of Football Australia, Football Victoria, Association of Australian Football Clubs and South Melbourne here at our home. Tonight marks a hallowed night in Australia's footballing tapestry. Tonight is the story of two premier Australian clubs vying for bragging rights in the competition's blockbuster, the original Melbourne Derby. While many Victorian clubs claim ownership of this derby, there is without a doubt a large number of people in Victoria and Melbourne, when you talk of the original derby, they know who you're talking about. It's Knights and South. Since our club's inception in 1953, the Melbourne Knights have been an institution, run on the blood, sweat and tears of a large portion of the Christian community here in Melbourne. No matter what has come about, no matter what difficulties have been thrown in the club's direction, community spirit has always rallied at the forefront, and for that reason the club has existed and thrived to this day. As the club has evolved over its almost 65-year-long lifespan, so have the faces. Generations of families committed their hearts to supporting the Melbourne Knights, attending home games and away games week in, week out. This incredible achievement is the backbone of what makes the club special, what makes it a place that supporters young and old can come together and celebrate their connection to the mutual entity fondly known as Croatia. But today we grow restless. As we will shortly walk over to watch the match within our stadium, the 3,000-seat grandstand with all the requisite amenities stands as a relic to a time not long ago and a time definitely not forgotten. We sometimes wonder, that grandstand, our lighting, our whole facility, is it a bittersweet reminder of what we achieved as a club and nothing more? We were told for many years whilst we were in the National League, you need to build this, you need to do that, to have a facility that's up to standard. And we ticked all those boxes, sometimes with great difficulty. We sit here now in the NPL and easily, yet unnecessarily exceed those facility criteria. Whilst the cynic may agree with that assessment, we believe in our club, we believe in our sport, and we believe in our future. We've embarked on a project that will propel our club, the local community and the sport to greater heights. During the COVID laid-off season last year, a few of us got together and began planning on how we could fully redevelop our facility. Committee members of the Knights, Melbourne Croatia, our junior arm and club members have all done their bit in helping along the planning and lobbying. Once we started planning, we started dreaming. I'm here tonight to illuminate you all what our plans are and how we would dearly love for all of you to come along for the ride. All of you can contribute to this future in some way, and there's some pictures rolling on the screen as I'm speaking. With help from our advocacy professionals, we are well on the way to securing a government grant in excess of $10 million. That grant will allow us to confirm this facility's significance to the local community back into regional importance, one that can host substantial matches, tournaments, festivals, concerts and events for the Western region of Melbourne. Our plans include a new double-storey club room, 2 new synthetic pitches, a refurbished grandstand, terracing, car parking, landscaping, and generally updating the facility to a modern standard. We envisage a facility that houses our juniors, an expansive club archive and museum, serviced offices for other businesses and community groups, modern conference facilities and everything that you would expect with a home of football. However, there's one part of the puzzle that is missing. Last Tuesday, a couple of days ago, we played against South Melbourne in the FA Cup. It was a classic. A match with meaning, a match I'm probably still not over, but these are the matches that give Australian soccer context and meaning. The Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne are less grand and less important without the other. Could you imagine what Inter Milan would be without AC? Now could you imagine both playing in their local league, shut out of the national conversation for years? By that I mean no disrespect to the clubs against whom we compete in the NPL. But the difference is, they're operating at their maximum as clubs, whilst both the Knights and South are plodding along at 20%. We're not the only ones either. There are a handful of clubs like this around Australia. But this is not a time for finger pointing in the sense of righting historical wrongs. We want to see movement and progress that will allow us to operate at our maximum. We desperately need a national second division to reinvigorate Australian football. We know that it is a mammoth task to lift ourselves up as a club, to operate at levels exceeding what we used to, from crowds to sponsorship to other areas within the club. But it's a challenge that a new generation of people are willing and able to take up. We need a national second division quickly. The promotion and relegation side of things with Daly can wait. Australian soccer needs to be brave and bold, something our national team is known for, and to take this opportunity with both hands. We want to bring back people to this club. To bring back the people we had and to bring some new ones along the way as well. We want to showcase what our club is about. We want to have the best young players in Australia coming through and making up the backbone of the Socceroos. And ultimately, however ridiculous it may sound today, we want to be Australian champions again. I'll leave you with that thought to ponder. Please enjoy the game and join us on this journey in the future. Thank you.
Nick, I think the questions are pretty obvious with you. Where are we at with this national second division blueprint? There was a lot of excitement when that plan was released late last year. Where are we at?
It's a work in progress, Josh. We're probably a victim of our own success, if I can put it that way. In that, if you think back, if we were having this dinner 3 years ago and people were talking national second division, we were joking, laughing, not taking it seriously, we are now. It's a serious conversation. Football Australia has said it's going to happen. We think that we've driven the discussion. We're not taking total credit for it, but we've driven the discussion. So we've come a long way down the track, and now we need to manage the impatience. And we need to get there, and we'll get there with the right model in due course. So let's just be a little bit patient, and we'll see it. We're a long way down the track.
So how's the plan kind of been received by the powers that be, and where do you think the kinks and so forth need to be worked out with the discussions to be had in the next months?
We're dealing with a Congress that we've inherited. There are many different stakeholders in this game. We've got member federations, Football Australia, clubs, coaches, Women's Council, lots of people, professional footballers, lots of people involved. We need to align the game. What we've done is we've driven this discussion. So we've, the big clubs like Melbourne Knights, like South Melbourne here tonight, like some other big clubs around the country have got in behind our organisation. They've helped us drive the discussion. We've demonstrated that we've got big clubs in this country that have got the potential to become bigger. So I think finally there's been a shift into thinking in this country whereby instead of having a limited number of big clubs, we can have more. And that's what this is about. It's about growing our clubs and making sure that this country's football isn't limited to 8, 9, 10, 11 big teams, but in fact has 20, 25, 30 big teams. And in my recent discussions with James Johnson, that's been our biggest alignment. The idea that we can have more strong clubs in this country. So that's where we are. I think that's been the biggest and most exciting improvement in the thinking underpinning our game. That instead of limiting our number of clubs, we're looking to grow them.
And we've seen, since the return of NPL football from our lockdowns and so forth, we've seen really healthy crowd numbers across the league. I mean, in the Cup as well, at Lakeside on Tuesday night, huge crowd in attendance. At Knights and South and various other clubs, Preston's had massive crowds as well. So when you see that level of interest in the old NSL clubs and various other clubs playing at NPL level around the country, does that give you a little bit more bargaining power when you go to these meetings?
It does. And I'll pick you up on something there, Josh, because I'm an old pokey and I've got some bugbears. I don't like the phrase old NSL. There's only one. It was the NSL. And it's a big point because there was an NSL and there's an A-League, and we're at the old NSL. And we call this the original derby. In fact, it's the derby. It's the only one really when you think about it. A derby requires history. These two clubs have got history, massive history. It is the derby. You don't get to own the term derby by being a new club inducted into a division. You need to earn it. These clubs have earned it, and I think the thinking in this country now is turning towards appreciating that approach. The supporters are seeing it, and they're coming out. And when we give them hope that there's somewhere for their clubs to rise to, they will come out in greater numbers. So this game tonight should be the big match. This league game between these two clubs. If this were about promotion at the end of the season to the top tier, we'd have 10,000 here. That's what it's about. That's what we want to do.
Well said, mate. You've been playing at the gallery so far, but you're actually in enemy territory here tonight, are you not?
Not at all. I've got massive support for the Melbourne Knights. You need competitors in order to grow. And what Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne have done for each other is pushed each other to reach this level. If it weren't for South Melbourne, you wouldn't have the Melbourne Knights, and if it wasn't for Melbourne Knights, you wouldn't have South Melbourne. Because you can't play against... derbies are what make teams, competition is what makes people and teams and individuals. That's what they rise to, that's what they remember. You saw Andrew Marth, what he said before, I wish I'd reached his level, but he'll appreciate that a lot more than me. And it's the big games in my discussions with some of these players that they remember, they talk about, and they're the rivalries that we speak about. So rather than being on enemy territory, I actually pretty grateful I'm here tonight. I've got great respect for the Melbourne Knights, and I mean that absolutely seriously. I think they've got great leadership. Pave, I know, is a great guy, and I've dealt a bit with Ange Shiver in the past. I know what he's done for the game. So yes, enemy in a sense, but ultimately on friendly terms in that we are part of the real football in this country.
I'll ask you the same question again at full time. Very well said. All right, can I give him one last topic?
All right, go on.
You've spoken about the need for patience, but the fans of these clubs aren't patient. They want to know. So I'll give you a very tough question that you probably won't answer. If you had to ballpark a timeline on this thing, what are we looking at roughly?
I'll give you one thing that is news as of today, and that is we have confirmed that the clubs, our partner group clubs, are meeting with Football Australia on June 18 with Football Australia to further our discussions. It's a step in the process. We don't expect an outcome on that day, but it's a massive step in the process. So we're on the road to a 2023 start. That's what I think I'm confident in saying. I can't guarantee it. Football Australia is going to be the ultimate arbiter of that, not AAFC. But we are confident, given that what Football Australia have openly said that that's their aim too, that we're confident of a 2023 start to a new
Chris, welcome. You've been doing the rounds a little bit around these Victorian clubs, but people, I think, mentally associate you with Sydney because you're, Football Australia person, but you're a Melbourne guy.
Correct. I actually grew up watching these teams. So originally with South Melbourne at the old stadium, which is now Pitt Straight, and spending a lot of time here at the Knights Stadium. We actually were reminiscing before about some of the games which were on the backdrop there. I think Andrew mentioned it that night. It was Olympic Park in the rain when Mark Viduka, my Hellenic friends won't like this, but took apart South Melbourne. But I'd forgotten that Tiago got sent off. So. Football Australia, as we now call ourselves, for one good reason, which I'll come to, has historically been a very Sydney-based organisation. But under my chairmanship, I'd like us to go back to a more traditional football environment, which means football as we know it, which means alignment from top to bottom and the ability to move up and down the spectrum depending on ability.
You mentioned Mark Viduka. Any other memories of this fixture? Because you've been following these two teams for a long, long time.
I just was watching this. I saw two people who've actually crossed the divide. Francis Awaratifi, Fasto Diamidis, played for both. I'm not sure there was... Fasto was... And Davidson. Davo, was he?
And Davo.
Right. But there's not a lot. And it comes back to Nick's point about derbies. Derbies are built on history, right? So what I really like is you can be fierce competitors, but I think there's a good sense of camaraderie in this room, which is based upon the love of football. So for me, yeah, I think I'm a son of migrants, came in 1956, and these clubs evolved to support their communities, and it's because of those communities we've got football in this country, so we can't forget that.
So everyone just wants me to ask you about the National Second Division, so I will. What have you made of the proposal put forward by AAFC, and what are you making of the 2023 timeline we heard earlier?
Nick and I can speak regularly on this. I think there's a much greater level of cooperation and understanding of the issues on both sides. I think having a football CEO in this environment who understands football, he was brought up in Rockhampton, played in the old NSL. Can't say that, can I? The NSL. But understands football and has lived it in the Asian region, and FIFA means we're aware of where we want to get to. So at the moment, I agree with what Nick said to this group, which is I'm expecting the matter to come to the FA board in the second half of this year, and I'd like to see a second division up for the 23 season, which is the 70th anniversary. One thing that Nick understands is the national second division is just that. It's a national competition, which means dialogue across a diverse group of interests, and it's really working and consulting the other areas and states in Australia, and that's part of the dynamic of bringing everyone along.
What do you see as the major obstacles or the major things that have to be overcome before this second division can actually be viable and get up?
I went to the AAFC AGM, Nick, I think maybe 2 years ago now. And what I said at that stage is, obviously from a head office perspective, we need to make sure that the financial modelling works, because the last thing we want is it gets put up and it stumbles, because then everyone will say, oh, I told you so, right? So certainly that is one. Certainly having a nice cross-section of teams in Australia is important. There is, I think, from an elite pathway, we've done the analysis, there's really a gap. We need to get the next generation of players playing many more minutes, and that does mean more teams at the top level, but it means a second division that puts minutes in the leagues. And I mean, the statistics that the PFA does, it's not overly scientific. The more minutes you get into our boys and girls at the elite level, the greater they are, the more they spend at a top competition here in Australia before they go overseas, the more likely they're going to have a better career. And I think it's, I get this number wrong, but it might be like 70 or 80 games at the top level before you try your luck in Europe. I think your chance is almost double of actually having a sustained career in the European markets. Asian is a different market for us, but we really want to see the next generation of players coming through being given a chance to get minutes, and then that also aligns with the alignment of the domestic match commentators from top right through to the FPL.
So we've recently seen a major restructure with the uncoupling of the A-League, the W League from the FFA, or FA I should say now. How's that changed things for you? Does it make it more complicated to institute this kind of wide-scale reform when you've got another big stakeholder to deal with, or does it actually free up Football Australia to focus on kind of big picture matters when you're not busy running the professional leagues all the time?
No, the unbundling was important because it frees head office up from actually having to run the A-League and the W League. So the owners wanted the keys to the kingdom, they've got that, but it allows us to go back to what a normal association or federation does globally, which is work with the grassroots pathways and the elite divisions up to the national team. So certainly gives us more bandwidth to do that. We're probably not as far advanced because of COVID. I mean, everyone knows the impact that it had. I mean, community football ground to a halt, particularly here in Victoria. But it also means those other things when you throw in unbundling, Foxtel renegotiations, Women's World Cup, which was a fantastic achievement, which we need to build on for the benefit of the sport. because we still have a significant infrastructure deficiency of around $500 million around Australia. So, and only 1 in 5 facilities are female friendly. And I'm not talking about Rolls-Royce, I'm just talking about fit for purpose facilities for girls. So we've got a big piece to do around that. The government piece we haven't as a sport done very well because we're quite fragmented with the way we approach government. So we need to be speaking with one voice. But I mean, I mentioned before that we're not Football Federation Australia because that was a particular era. The Football Australia, I hope, sends a message to the football community that everyone's got a place with the broadest participation sport, with the #1 multicultural sport, and in contemporary Australia, there's a place for everyone. We want everyone to come along.
Last one for you. Easy question. Score prediction for tonight.
Go 1-1.
Nice, Chris, Nikkou, thank you very much.